Welcome to the Sandwich Generation Pod. I'm Robyn.
And I'm Eliesa.
And today is a big one. Today we invited our spouses on the pod.
Which means today we are handing them the mic and asking, what is it actually like to be married to someone in the sandwich generation? Because they're in it too.
They're the ones who see us Googling crazy things in the middle of the night or crying in our car or the guilt.
So to our husbands, thank you. Truly, we could not do this without you.
And to the spouses listening, this one's for you.
Let's get into it. This is so fun.
Cute.
From the moment that we had this idea, I feel like I've been really looking forward to this. And also in the back of my mind, I was like, I don't know if it's actually ever going to happen with kids and logistics and getting us all in the same room, but at two different places, but at the same time. This is so cool. We did it. We're just going to get started. It's so much fun.
Okay, do you ever regret marrying me? Our open
What do you really think of us and your lives now that you're married to us?
Okay, well, I do want to say this. Did you think, we've been married for what, 6-7 years now or something? And I'm married to the other brunette person. His name is Ryan, and I call him Easy for the listener. And you're married to...
Yes, I am married to Nick, who is the beautiful gentleman with the luscious beard in the frame.
It looks so lush today.
Okay, I just also have to say for the listener, we are married to the two most incredible humans in the world. And I'm not saying that lightly. These two are just...
They're unicorns.
They are solid, amazing, handsome, sexy, smart men who are the most wonderful dads, the most wonderful support systems.
And they are getting laid tonight. Is what she was going to say.
But you two are incredible. And that is not lost on us. The amount of times that we're sitting in here just being oh, and then Nick did this, and then Easy did this for me. Mm-hmm. And we're they're so great. And they're so great. And we couldn't do this without you.
Yeah.
We really could not do this thing called life without you.
And I try to talk shit about you because I know there are people that have a lot of frustrations with their husbands. And I have frustrations with him. But I feel it's also okay to say that you love your partner and that you love your husband and that you couldn't do life without them. And I am lost for words because you see it all. Easy, you see everything. And I didn't plan on showing you as much as I have of my emotions, and I can't really escape. But I am so grateful that you don't run from me when I just am this is me. So yes, I agree.
Same. I mean, Nick has seen it all and continues to because we're in it.
We're in it.
We're in it. But I never question the foundation of our marriage or relationship, even when things are moving fast, even when they're hard, even when they're exciting. We're there for it all. And I think that I am always, every day, so lucky for our relationship and our marriage.
It's I am always curious to ask you, Easy, just to give the listener context, my mom she's in her final stages of life probably. And my dad has had a terrible stroke that has changed his life a couple of years ago. But I remember, there's a question here, but I just want to say this. When me and Easy were dating, I should have known then how amazing he was. But there was a date when I think my dad had some heart surgeries before he had a stroke. And I can't remember if he had fallen out of bed or I don't know. He couldn't get up the stairs. Is that what it was, babe? And Easy, we were not married yet, so he was not locked in. He could have run. He basically carried my dad up. He very much with somehow holding my dad's butt or something helped my dad up the stairs. And I remember thinking it was a terrible mix of I am mortified, I want to cry because I can't believe the compassion of this man. Also now I'm embarrassed again. I love him. I'm embarrassed. I love him. I'm embarrassed. And I will never forget it and I think my dad will never forget that either.
He was in his whitey tighties, stuck on the floor, couldn't get up off the ground.
Yep.
And I kind of just had to bear hug him and get him onto his feet.
It's that shit that you're it's so humbling. And it's humbling for your dad too. He didn't want that. He wouldn't expect that to happen. You know what I mean? And it's just really incredible.
My question was, is this what you thought it was going to be? Did you, like, living in this season of life, is this ever anything you thought you expected?
Well, I'm not a very good planner, as you know, so I probably didn't think that far out in advance when I fell in love with you and wanted to marry you. But I knew I wanted to, go on the journey with you. And, we all have parents and we all have families and we all don't live forever and there's going to be hard times. So I was committed to going along with all of it for you.
I don't think there's any way to predict when this time does arrive, but do you feel like it showed up sooner than you could have ever thought it would have to deal with like aging parents
I think
and
it
health issues?
Fast. Yeah, it's like, we're a little bit older when we met. We had kids a little bit later in life, and you don't really necessarily think about that at the time. But then, because of that, you hit that phase of life a lot faster, and you're like, whoa, okay. Now, our parents aged. We thought they were pretty healthy, but a couple things happened, and all of a sudden it spirals pretty quick, and you're like, whoa, we're in it, and you never really had time to think about it or plan for it, but you take it one day at a time is how we've been handling it. Yeah.
That's the only way we can.
What do you think, Nick?
Well, with me and Eliesa, there was this distance. Like Elisa's parents were down in Owatonna, and we were up here, and they were physically fine. I mean, they were still driving and they were still doing things, and then their progression kind of like slid a little bit faster. I slipped and fell on this was 27th December. I slipped and fell, and I was in the hospital overnight. And you
I forgot about this.
The hospital, and then you had to leave because your mom was having surgery in some capacity, and you had to go tend to her down at Mayo.
It was like Rochester, yeah,
and that was kind of odd. Like you left me at the hospital. You were the one who was having a harder time with it. You left me and then go into your mom, who was also in the hospital.
There was this moment where I had to choose: do I leave my husband in the hospital with this like unknown potential diagnosis that was kind of like looming over our heads? But then I needed to like go down to Rochester to tend to my mom. I forgot about that moment where it felt like I had to choose who to care for.
You know what I'm realizing is that because, we all got married later. Mm-hmm. So we were already kind of in a phase of life where like we were starting to see vulnerabilities in our parents. So I guess it's kind of like no one's maybe totally shocked at what they're seeing. Sure. Like we were both dating and then these things were happening already to our parents. But I think we maybe forgot about that.
Now thinking back about it, like Robyn was pretty adamant about our wedding being a destination wedding. And she wanted it to be like Costa Rica or like somewhere gorgeous and beautiful and amazing.
Oh, the dreams we had.
The dreams we had, but then it's like, okay, both our parents are older and no chance of them going to a wedding in Costa Rica. So it was like we had to settle for Grandview Lodge in northern Minnesota, which was beautiful, and we could get our parents there. So it worked out, but like, it was pretty early on to realize, we got older parents.
Yep.
And by the way, if there's people listening that are in the same place where they did get married later, like we found each other later in life and we wouldn't take back our 30s and our 20s for anything. But like, I've often said if we would have met earlier, I would have had 2 more children. If we would have met earlier, what would life have been like to have, all 4 of the grandparents young and healthy and around our kids? And it's hard not to daydream about that.
Absolutely. We talk about this all the time too.
Yeah.
I wish I had 10 more years with Nick that we just didn't meet till we were older. So like that's just, and also I'm so thankful that I did meet you, so it's like, it's that coin flip, but that's just part of our story.
And we also talk about like, oh man, if you would have known my dad, like Easy always is like, oh, you should have known Rod when he was like in his 40s, 50s, 60s, and I'm like, oh, you should have known Dan, and we like will paint these pictures, and it's maybe better we didn't because our dads were very, very animated in those years, now they're both like been beaten down by life a little bit and they're just a little softer, everybody, But, same with our moms, man, I love to tell stories about like what my mom was like. And I'm so glad that Easy was able to meet my mom at a point when she was still her. It's like there is just something about getting married when we did. And I think a lot of people are getting married later in life. And then if you have children at that phase, then you're hit with what we've got, which is like, okay, now here we are. I was going to say this is all when things are going well. Okay.
Yes.
But let's talk about when they are maybe
Things
not
go
going well.
sideways a little bit.
When we get activated, when we get a little stressed, when things get a little heated, when things don't go as planned.
So Nick, I'm gonna point this at Nick first, but this is a question for both of you. What is something that you see us carrying that most people don't see? Because a lot of being in the sandwich generation, but a lot of caregiving in general for both the kids and the parents, a lot of it feels, and it just is, like invisible. What are things that you guys see us carrying every day that most people don't see?
Well, easily it's the being self-employed. I think if you were working like a regular job for someone else, like you could have sick days, you could have the ESSD, you could take a day off and not feel like the work is going to suffer, or that you don't, you'd be able to build in some of that time. If you just, if all of a sudden your mom needed to have an appointment in 2 weeks, you just put that on your calendar. Now it's like you put that on your calendar and you know that something at work is probably going to have to wait. So I know that is probably one of the biggest things I see, is that you're condensing a regular work week into 4 days instead of 5, since you stay at home with Alma on Fridays. And so I know that your time is limited between Monday and Thursday. And it's also filled up with scheduling appointments for your parents, going to appointments for your parents, fielding calls, talking with the county.
Yeah.
Hennepin County listening. I mean, you got the one person who you speak very, very highly of, but it's a hard system. We were talking about this with my family. It was like, well, what would happen if you weren't there? Like, what would your parents do if you weren't there? It would be very difficult, because
it is interesting, and I know we've talked about this briefly in other episodes, but like the being self-employed aspect, you're a business owner too, and it has a double-edged sword a little bit. It's like it has allowed us flexibility for this time in our lives, and also I feel like I'm fitting in work in like 1 hour chunks whenever I can, some weeks, depending on what's happening with my parents or the kids. It's true.
So that's probably the biggest thing I see. It's just like, I know that you're trying to fit in all the things all the time. And so that's what I see probably the hardest thing, is just being able to find enough hours in the day to do all of the things, let alone just have 20 minutes for yourself.
Is there like a moment, Nick, or are there times when you can tell right before Eliesa even knows that she's hitting her limit, like she's gonna pop her lid, and like, what do you do? How do you brace for that?
I'm trying to think of what the actual signs, but I can just tell, like, it just
Does she turn, like, does she get a little red? Does she start looking around a lot?
I probably get like really short and irritable.
You can just tell when things are like, there's just a tone difference. Like, it's nothing bad. There's a noticeable difference when things are creeping in, like if something's unexpected happening or things are becoming too much.
And what do you do? How do you like deal in that moment?
It's a brace for impact. It's also just trying to like make sure like there's nothing like else out there trying to take your attention, that you need to trying to anticipate what needs to happen and try to take a little bit more off your plate, because it's just, I know if it's going to be stressful, I can just kind of sometimes just tell, and just trying not to make it any harder. But sometimes I just get a phone call and you're driving, and I just know that it didn't go well, or whatever it was. The expectations for the day didn't go as planned, or it got completely, derailed.
What does it look like when she does lose her shit? Like, what is that? What is it? Yelling? Is it like shutting you out? Like what?
No, I think you shut down a little bit. Like, you don't really yell, but you can get short with, because partially it's probably half my fault anyway.
You're such a smart man.
Not adding to the ease of the day, probably. But yeah, just get short. You can just tell, and it's been hard with dealing with something that your parents need to schedule an appointment in a week from now, and then they expect you to be there, and you don't have the capacity. You've got Alma, or you've got to work things scheduled. So it's
I know myself pretty well, and I know when I'm trying to be better about this, but I'm not perfect at it, is when I feel like my lid's about to blow, trying to articulate that in some way now, literally being like, it's not you, it's me, it's it's like
that's the thing, is when it's like after work and the girls are home or something like that, and I can just tell, like I can tell something's going on. It's like,
it's tense. I'm like, I'm tense. I'm just,
am I the problem? Did I say something here? Did I like? And then I realized that it's probably something with whatever it is. And then it's like, all right, well, let's get through dinner. Let's get all the dishes put away and clean up the house smart, and get the girls to bed. And all of a sudden now it's 8:45, and we sit on the couch. Like, so how are you actually doing?
Yeah. And then there's generally like a crying breakdown session, like that comes. And I feel like I try to hold
At
it
9
together
o'clock.
for the kids.
Yeah.
There have been a couple times where I've had to like excuse myself to go cry, but I try to hold it together until after bedtime. But sometimes, I mean, I am no angel. Like, I have very hard days and very hard times, like we all do. But I think irritability is how it really comes out, and I can be really short.
So
The 5 o'clock hour when everybody needs you. And you're like, there's a mountain ahead of me. Like, I have to get through. Like, my dad might robocall me at 5 and be like, you need to come here right now, because I need to go to the ER a couple of times.
Yep.
And then Dolly's like, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty. And then we're like, we have processed foods that we're going to give them.
I was going to say this today, where you're like, I have no
it's
groceries.
macaroni. It's macaroni again. It's macaroni. Okay. We don't have groceries. Yeah. Fucking macaroni. You're going to eat it and you're going to like it. And I'm going to throw
Also,
a grape
it's
in there.
great.
Yeah. No. It's great.
Congratulations, you got fed tonight. Like, it's just, that's some of the reality.
And then we're like, let's put him in the bath, because we can get away from him if we put him in the bath. It could be our time. Get him in the bath. Run that water. Okay. And then you see your partner. You're like, hi. Just pretend we're not here. They're in the bath.
are we good? Are we good?
Yeah. Is everything okay?
Yeah.
And then we get to like their dinner. Then we have our dinner, because God forbid we should all get it all together. We're just learning how to do that, by the way. Learning how to do that. And then you get to the bedtime hour and you're like, okay, we are almost there. We're 75% there. Okay. And then my husband's like, okay, I'll do bedtime tonight. Okay. He tries. He gets in there. And it is like, we're a minute in, and all of a sudden I hear, yeah, we want mama, and I'm like, I have nothing left to give. I can't do it. And he's like trying so hard, but I'm like, okay, babe, just get out. I got it. Anyways, I don't know how I got into this whole thing, but just painting the picture of the 5 to 9, it's
a vortex.
and it's every day.
It's like we get sucked in.
The hardest part of the day.
There's nothing else is happening in the world except for what is happening in our kitchen, what is happening at bedtime, what is happening in that bath.
And then you can't turn on your co-pilot, because I've done that a couple of times. Sorry, babe.
So I was just going to say, what is it like?
Because I'm not as good as you.
What is it like when Robyn is juggling all the things and she's about to lose it?
I mean, most of the time she does a really good job of keeping it together. And it's hard, but, like she said, she's getting pulled in all kinds of different directions between her parents, between her kids. Her daughter, wants mama all the time, no matter what.
We have
one
the same
of those
daughter.
too.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's only mama, and so it's like, and she can't ever get a moment, but usually she handles it really well. But the times when you can tell she's maybe not going to handle it well, are if she's lacking sleep, like if she's got a couple nights in a row of waking up in the middle of the night crying or can't sleep, and if there's a lack of sleep, it's a struggle. The other times, I don't know if I'm qualified to talk about it, but there's just like hormones are a thing, and that I don't know much about them, but they can affect your mood, and it's very clear, and she's very self-aware, whereas like, oh yeah, actually there is a reason why I had this complete meltdown, and it's not just everything that's going on around me. There's hormones I can't control, and they're raging right now, and I'm sorry, I lost it a little bit, but I don't take offense, because I don't take it personal. I was told she's an external processor early in the process of getting married to her, and I shouldn't be offended by the awful things she might say to me, and I don't.
That's amazing. Honestly, though, the hormone thing is real, because
Oh my
through
God.
this whole sandwich generation phase that we've been experiencing, We've been pregnant and birthed and then had to go through postpartum twice while navigating our aging parents' health crisis. And gentlemen, that has been no small task. And you know it. You have been in the thick of it right with us. That is absolutely a part of our story.
You know you're signing up for it, but you don't know you're signing up for it simultaneously. It's like it's just part of it.
Well, we couldn't even predict what all that would feel like or be like either. You know, on the day that my parents were moving from their home to assisted living, which is about an hour and a half away from the town that they've lived in their entire lives, that was the day that I decided, oh, this is a great day to stop breastfeeding. I had no idea that you had like a hormonal drop when you would stop breastfeeding. And I was a fucking piece of work. I was a shit show for like a solid few weeks after that. And it was not good. And I had anxiety spike like I had never had before. And we also, within that time period, went on a camping trip with Nick's family. And I was weepy. I did not understand. I thought it was all tied to like my parents moving. And I didn't really understand why I was feeling the way I was feeling. And then I remember driving in my car and being like, oh my gosh, this feels like postpartum. This feels like hormonal. And then it all made sense that I had like chosen to stop breastfeeding. It was a total hormonal shift, a big one, by the way, that I didn't know I would experience while I was moving my parents. And then pretending that everything was okay and going camping. It was, we joke about it now in Nick's family because I was not okay.
First of all, did you ever think you were going to talk about hormones this much in your marriage? Okay, like the amount of times I'm like, you are going to listen to this podcast about hormones. Did you know we have 3 and you have 1? And I'm like giving him like a hormone lesson like every month. I give him a hormone lesson because I'm like, guess what else I learned? My estrogen's going, and your testosterone's just, ooh, it's fine. You know, and I'm just like getting angrier and angrier teaching him about the hormones. I'm like, did you listen to that episode yet? And speaking of times that they've probably like guarded us or whatever, I remember when we had Dolly, our second, Ozzy had Kawasaki's disease, which is kind of, it's a rare like autoimmune moment. And it was very scary. I don't know if you know this story.
I don't know if I do.
So I had high blood pressure after Dolly was born, and I had high blood pressure going in because I was very stressed because Ozzy, our firstborn, had a very high fever and he wasn't feeling well, and I had a scheduled C-section and I was nervous. And then I had Dolly, we had the C-section, I still had high blood pressure, so they were kind of concerned. And meanwhile, Ozzy was at home with my mother-in-law, who is actually a nurse, and she was very concerned. She's like, Ozzy's fever isn't going down. It's 105 and it's not, and Tylenol isn't doing anything. So finally Easy had to leave and he went to go with Oz, and our pediatrician said, you have to go to the emergency room right now. He probably has Kawasaki's disease.
What is Kawasaki's disease?
It's like a rare autoimmune. It attacks I don't know.
Yeah,
your T
your body
cells
thinks it's sick and it starts fighting everything it can, and like all systems go, but it's like overreacting to something, and then you run the risk of, like, he had his artery
reach your heart.
And so it can cause heart damage if it's not treated right away.
Yeah.
And it can be dangerous where there can be permanent damage, but if you get it treated pretty quick, you can kind of get out of it. He was hooked up to an IV and pumped full of fluids and steroids and a bunch of things to protect his heart. So it was like 5 straight days of being pumped full of stuff, and he couldn't leave the room. And it was like all the interns and doctors and student doctors, everyone's showing up because we're like in the, floor with like the rare disease floor of the children's hospital, and everyone, we don't see these cases very often, so everyone wanted to come see it. But they wouldn't let him leave the room because they didn't know if he was
COVID.
risk. Yeah, it was COVID,
Sure.
and it was but.
My gosh.
Thankfully, it was connected to Children's Hospital where Robyn was with her high blood pressure and baby Dolly.
So they just wheeled me down.
They wheeled her down and she could come visit. But
they wheeled me down. They're
like, well, her
crying.
blood pressure's so high. I don't know if, and it's like, well, yeah, her son's in the hospital, and she just had a newborn. Of course, her blood pressure.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I didn't know that. That's a lot.
But I remember I came home and it was like the shit had hit the fan. I mean, it was crazy. Like fires on all fronts. And Rod, our father-in-law, my father-in-law, was staying with us. And, you know, Rod is like a very animated guy, you know. And Rod and I have gotten into it a couple of times, but I love Rod. But, you know, we both can get a little animated. And I just will never forget Easy saying, like, I feel like he kind of gave everyone a talk around me and like his family. He's like, Robyn is experiencing high levels of stress. Do not speak unless you are spoken to. You know, like I feel like he had talked to everybody, was like, you do not ask for anything. You do not talk to her. You do not, you know, like, and it was like I'm like walking around my house and Rod is there. And I feel like Rod is like, hi Robyn, you know, I'm like, hi Rod. But like it was just, I think about it all the time because it was like this example of like we don't realize how much, because we have these incredible men in our lives, that they are out there kind of shielding us from things, even though we don't need shielding. But it's like the other night, and I just have to say this because it's just been on my mind, but I talk about my mom on this podcast more than I do, I think, in real life, because it's somehow easier for me to talk about it here than it is to talk about it with the people I love.
Yeah.
And I've kind of gotten the habit of just saying to my very close friends, like, I don't want to talk about it because it's just deep and it's hard. And the amount of times I've woken up at 4 a.m. crying, it's the only time I really have to myself. And it's like, it's almost like I would have a dream about my mom, and I don't know. It's just, it's such a lonely time, and it's the time I grieve. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, like, this is the person beside me. He's seen me that way, you know, like you're in the fetal position and you're just, you know, it's just, there's like nowhere to go. And when he said, like, I don't get sleep, he's talking about nights like that, because that does happen, and it just sneaks up on you at different phases. Mm-hmm. And I just think this is such a beautiful moment and like a reason I love you so much. But he said, you know, the really good friends, they know not to ask you, but they ask me. And I answer for you. Mm-hmm. And I was so touched by that, because I was touched by the friends that know not to ask. And I was touched that he can do that for me. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, you know, I always thought, like, I'm going to get married and I'm going to sleep with that guy, and like we'll talk about our money together and we'll raise children, but like I'm going to compartmentalize, like I'm going to have girlfriends, and like I'm not going to like tell him everything because like that'll ruin the marriage. Like, I don't know. I had these ideas. Maybe I watch too much Sex in the City. I don't know. But I just like, I have tried doing that, but like it doesn't totally work, because like you know, one time Easy said to me, like, when we were trying to figure out, we were moving and I was leaving New York, and I was like, I just don't know where my home is. And he said, your home is with me. I'm home. And I know he's got some good nuggets, doesn't he? God damn it.
So good, Easy.
These are things you can't anticipate when you find someone and you're with them, and there's so many unsexy moments. And
wildly.
You just...
I wear a CPAP machine, for God's sake. He's really hanging in there with me.
We're collectively going to be wearing one.
I know we both might be living that life soon, but it's so true. I mean, that's interesting that you were going to try to like compartmentalize that a little bit, though.
Well, you know, you hear that, like, don't tell your man everything.
Oh, I was like...
She's an open book. She can't hold anything in.
Exactly. No, exactly. That was never going to work. That was a delusion.
Well, I try to keep some things, like, I don't,
like, mysterious and
well,
cool.
we do not watch each other go to the bathroom.
No,
well,
that ship has sailed. We're perfect beauties, aren't we? No, I think the thing about Nick is I was very much like, this is who I am, take it or leave it, you know? I was like, I'm going to overshare right away, right? But I have so much fun with you that like it was the opposite. I was like, you are my best friend. This is like this is exactly who I want to do life with. And I felt that way ever since like we were just texting on Tinder.
The romance.
I know.
Oh.
A lot of the moments when you're crying at 4 a.m. and you're destroyed, we feel like the most broken versions of ourselves, right? And that's hard for us to see in ourselves, and that's hard to communicate to.
It's hard to let someone else see it.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. But also,
there's nowhere to go.
If that was happening with Nick, if he was crying at 4 a.m, I'd want nowhere else to be but right by him. I would not want him to go through that alone.
Yeah. Well, and I do think there's something about this whole experience of taking care of our parents, and it's like kind of crisis mode a lot. You can grow closer with someone or you can grow further apart. The amount of times that I have not made my husband the priority because I have to triage something else, and the guilt that I feel about that. And I'm constantly wondering and trying to figure out, like, when is the day going to be where he's going to be like, enough is enough. Like, you got to choose me. And yes, like sometimes I think you're Jesus, but I feel like it's normal. It's very normal if you are in a situation that someone isn't feeling like they're a priority, you know, because there's so many things to distract us and get our attention, and people need us. And I just wonder, I know it's hard sometimes when I dump the kids and I'm like, okay, you have to take care of the kids because I got to go run and I got to go do this with my parents. And I had to do it on your birthday, you know, which I know you didn't really seem upset about, but like, I don't know. What's that been like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty easygoing guy, so I don't get upset about that stuff. But it's like I miss doing the fun things and the adventures and the travel and all the stuff that we did because we had so much fun doing all those things. And I'm hopeful we're going to be doing those things again. Like, we're going to get things stabilized and we're going to start doing it. And it's just kind of like, this is the situation we're in, and we got to, what other choice do I have? Like, what am I going to be mad that you want to go take care of your parents? Or I can't be mad about that. Like, this is the life we're in, and deal with it.
Do you have any advice for if people are in a situation where they're feeling like they're like the last person to be cared for? Or
yeah, I mean, I think it's really hard to ask people for help. A lot of people are just like take on more and more and more, and they just keep taking more on, and they never ask for help. I think you got to ask people for help. I mean, we've done it. It's not always easy, but we've asked friends to take the kids for a night or a weekend. We've asked family to take the kids. You feel guilty asking people, like, well, can you watch my kids, like, so we can go have fun? Like, why do we deserve to go have fun? Like, they have tough lives too. Like, they're dealing with their own shit that's hard, and like, well, now we're going to ask them to take our kids so we can go have fun. Like, that guilt complex comes into it. But for the health of your marriage, we talked to someone recently. They're like, what kept our marriage healthy was like every single year we made sure we had a vacation without the kids, just the two of us, like a week vacation once a year at least. Like, did wonders.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, and it's like it's hard to imagine how that's even possible, but you just have to be. Robyn and I talked to friends. We're like, hey, we'll take your kids. Like, we'll take your kids for a weekend. We'll get out of town. And then we're going to give you our kids for a weekend. Like, but if not, that's fine too. But we will take your kids. Like, just go, get out of town.
I love that you brought that up, because I think sometimes there's a martyrdom that happens too when you're a caretaker, and it's like something we don't like to talk about. But like, I see it with myself. I see other people. You become a martyr. I feel like I do it, and I am not proud of it, and I don't think anyone calls me out on it, but I know I'm doing it, where I'll just be like, no, I got it. I can do it all. I'm going to do it all. And I get to a point where, like, sometimes it's not a big deal for me to do it all, but sometimes I get resentful. And sometimes I'm doing it and I don't feel resentful and I'm not being a martyr, but it's actually a detriment to my husband because like, I'm taking on too much and I'm not prioritizing our relationship. And I feel like that's why he's saying the ask for help thing, which I'm so glad you brought up, because it's like, well, in the fear of not burdening anyone else outside of our house, but I've now burdened our house because I've taken on so much. And you're right, babe. It's a really good point. Like, we have gotten a lot better at asking other people in our community for help because we recognize that we have needs too. And like, we do need to go have fun and we need to like take a load off, and we deserve that.
It's also hard when you're in the sandwich generation and you don't have two sets of healthy grandparents that are options to take the children to.
Do you?
No, that's what I'm saying. Is that a lot of couples I know who are able to take week-long trips or able to have date nights regularly, They're like, oh yeah, my like mom's gonna pick the kids up from school and like they're gonna take them for the week and stuff. And I'm like, what is that like? Because that's just never been our reality. And on Nick's side, we do have his parents who are young and healthy, and they're incredible. They say yes whenever they can. I mean, his mom is watching our children tonight, and she's incredible. And they're involved in all their grandchildren's lives. So it's not just us also. You know, there are other families to consider in our family and other grandkids. But when you're in the sandwich generation, just having the grandparents available is not usually the option. So it makes it tricky, you know, to ask for help and to ask of your friends to watch your kids all the time, especially when they're young kids, you know. And sometimes it's also frustrating when the to-dos, because you're the power of attorney or because you might be the only person who actually can be present or take care of something. And that's where I get resentful, when it's not something that I can hand off. I've asked Nick to take phone calls sometimes. If there's any little thing that he could help with, I try to ask for help. I'm not great at it always, but I try. But sometimes what I find I can ask for help with is the kids. Or it's stuff with our life or the house or groceries or dinner that night. And I don't know. It's all a shit show. That's really what it feels like. And we're all trying to figure it out. Okay, if you're listening to this and you're ready to vomit because of all of our lovey-dovey talk, sorry about that. But if you think that this episode might inspire someone and they might need to hear it, go ahead and just click that share button. They'll be happy you did.
Is there ever a time that you guys have gotten in like a bad argument because you feel like the stress of all of this has like come to a head?
I don't think we really take it out on each other. Again, I think the worst I get is really irritable. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong. But I don't think we get like mad at each other per se.
That's really good, because I think I get mad at him and I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't, but I do. I'm sorry. I feel like I get mad. It's like, I don't know. You don't think so?
No, it's not that often. And you're very like self-aware of it. Like when you do, you're within like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you're like, I'm sorry, I don't know why I did that. It's not like you.
But I say irrational things in the process. I say irrational things. I get
like you realize it very quickly.
I like blame him for things that like he has absolutely like that I have no control over, because I just like get to this point where I'm like,
maybe I do that. Do I do that?
No, I mean you can usually will premise that it's nothing I did, or it's just whatever was, whatever the reason it is. But it's just the deciphering. It's like, well, is this something you want to like? Do you want solutions, or do you want me just to listen to what's going on? Because that's the
you have gotten very good of asking that question.
Say that again. Say that again. What's that question?
Do you want solutions? Like, because if do you want my unsolicited advice on whatever the topic is? Because I got thoughts.
Mostly probably not.
Or do you want me to sit here and just like not say anything and just listen to you vent about whatever it is you want to talk about?
And I would say this is key for any marriage.
Yes.
This question right here, that question
is heard it here
Sure.
for
any marriage if you're going to survive it.
I think you do a pretty good job of getting out in front of it and knowing that you're going through a hard time, knowing that whatever it is an issue and it's not related.
What's funny is I think that if I take something out on Nick, it's something so dumb. If I get up to here and I open the fridge and I'm like, why are we out of milk? Or like,
yes,
why didn't you stop and get the milk? The girls aren't going to have milk in the morning. Or like, it's something like that, right?
Yes.
Where I'm like, why can't you think ahead? Why am I the one that has to think ahead all the time about the things? You should just be able to look in the fridge and know that we need milk. And why isn't there milk?
I would just be like, we don't have anything. We have nothing to eat. We don't have anything. But it's like directed at someone.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
It's like I'll go downstairs and just get the milk from the downstairs fridge, which you thought to buy. I did. I was just reminding you that you had it. You looked out for us once again.
I think my overwhelm in life right now, it's the mental load, right? Like, it's like, what do my parents need? Do they have toilet paper this weekend?
I was going to say, Nick and Easy, what If you had to describe Elisa's parents, how would you describe them? Or do you have any stories about her
How much time do
parents
you
or my parents?
How much bandwidth do we have on this? How long can this record? They are wealth of stories. My life is more enriched because of Pete and Rosemary Johnson and their stories. All of us. It's a constant. Like it's hilarity day in and day out. Like just the most random stuff is just so funny. Eliesa stopped over at her parents on Monday, and I come home and there's like this little like 4x4 fabric sack with a drawstring on it, and I was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Oh, it's a potato bag." Like, what's a potato? She's like, "Oh, you put your best potato in there," and it was potato fabric. I'm like, I've never heard of any of this before in my life. My whole family relishes in just funny stories about Elisa's family and her, like the fact that her family was the Santa Claus family, and like that right there is enough to like fill a whole segment.
Okay, so like my dad, he's a character. Things have happened where a lot of kids would think that it's embarrassing, but because it was like my normal, I didn't think it was embarrassing. But like just when I think I can't be embarrassed, then, not long ago, we're in a packed elevator, like a packed elevator at a hospital, all with doctors and nurses and surgeons. And like the elevator door closes right in front of us. Like we are the last little sardines packed in this elevator, right? And my dad rips the biggest, nastiest, juiciest, loudest fart you could possibly imagine. And you guys, it was the smelliest. Also, like you could taste it. It was horrible. And there's nowhere to go. We are in this elevator, and we only were going one floor, by the way, but it felt like it lasted an eternity. And it was the slowest elevator. And I just look over at him, and I was like, what? And he just has a smirk on his face. Like,
Was Nick in the elevator?
no, it was just my dad and I. We were going to this appointment, and we get out, and I couldn't even like look at anybody else behind us because I was so embarrassed.
You're like, I hope I never see you again. I hope I never see you again. I hope I never see you again. I hope I never see you
Please don't
again.
come into this room for our appointment. Please don't be our doctor. Yeah. And
The funny thing
we
is your parents like
walk
to see
out
it.
and the doors close, and I was like, you had one floor to hold it. One floor. Like, why? That was horrible. And he was just like, But anyways.
Oh my God.
Nick
Like there are just they have some very funny stories, and I think that also like helps us get through it. It's
Yeah.
like again, what are you gonna like? If you can't find that it's funny in there, it's gonna probably drive you crazy.
Nick is also really good about finding the like lightness and humor in a lot of the situations with my parents, and just like jumping in, making things light. I was going to say, for that same question back at you, how would you describe Robyn's parents?
I mean, Robyn's mother is like the saint of all saints, and she's never had a drink in her life. She's never said a swear word in her life. Don't know if she's ever said a bad word about anyone. She's like ultra positive about everything, an optimist, like the sweetest, like nicest person you can imagine. And her dad is a character and full of drama, and never found a situation that he didn't want to make awkward. It's kind of like watching an episode of Seinfeld or Larry David. Like, he knows how to tell things how they are, when keeping it real goes wrong, like he keeps it real all the time. And that's how he is. And so, of course, that leads to a lot of really funny stories as well. Interactions with other people, interactions with his family. Like Robyn's like in the moment so stressed out about it and stressed out about him. And I'm like retelling it to her from my perspective later and how funny it was to me. And she was just like, oh, yeah, I can see how that's funny now. He had one time when he was in the hospital, like post one of his surgeries or medical situations, and Barb and I think your sister was in town, and we all went to dinner, and he couldn't go, and so we were going to go to dinner, get him something from the place and bring it to him at the hospital. And so we show up to the hospital with the takeout that we got for him, and they're like, Dad, here's your pasta that we got you. It's really good. This place is amazing. Alma from, and you know, it's like, well, it's after 8 o'clock. I can only eat between 6 and 8 because my blood sugar and my sodium levels, I can't have any. I thought you guys were going to be here at 7. I can't have it now. I'm like, Dad, please, you need to have something. Dad, you got to have it. No, I can't. It's after 8. I can't do it. They won't let me. Dad, please have some. Okay, fine, I'll have some. He starts eating it. He's eating. Dad, that's too much. Dad, slow down. No, Dad, you can't eat it. No, Dad, that's enough now. I think that's enough. Just pounding it. And they're like, literally 30 seconds ago, they were begging him to eat it. 30 seconds later, they're begging him to stop. And I'm sitting there just dying, laughing, like, what is going on here?
That's a good story.
Yeah.
That is also an episode of Seinfeld.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Yes.
My
No.
God. I have a little bit of Dan Frank in me, you know. I'm not all Barb. So this is what it
You're
could
the
look
perfect
like.
combination.
Yeah.
Oh.
I could be saying those things years from now. You know.
So speaking of, what do we think that aging looks like for us?
Oh, yeah. Right.
Like, sometimes I see my parents and I see what they're going through, and I can't help but be like, what's this going to be like for us? I don't know. What's our story going to be?
Yes. Okay. I am always thinking now, I feel like I have a healthy paranoia about, like, what are we doing right now? I'm looking at him, I'm looking at me, and I'm thinking this has got to last because our kids are so young.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the math. And I'm not that good at math, but it's very basic. It's like when they're 30, we are 70. And what
Right.
does 70 look like? And what do we, like, I think it's always on my mind. And it's not just on my mind for me, but I'm thinking about it for him because I'm like, this shit is for real.
We got to take care of ourselves.
We've got to take care of ourselves.
And I also feel like there's a part of me that's like, right now, these years that we're in, even though they're messy and even though they're hard and even though we feel pulled in many different directions, these are also some of the best days because our parents are still here.
Yeah.
We have our children here. We have our youth and our health all on our side still.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to worry so much about the future when right now are some of the best days that we will always look back on.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And also the theme of this podcast has been like, plan early, do it early, have conversations early. Like, you know, it's never too early. And so I'm also sort of like, oh God, there's so much shit we have to figure out.
Yeah.
You know?
Uh-huh.
I don't know if there's any amount of retirement money that could ever actually pay for cares, you know, for us. I don't know what any of that looks like, and none of us know. But so I'm a little bit like, seize the day and save it all at the same time. What do you guys think? What do you think we're going to be like as old ladies?
Oh, they have nothing to say. Shit. Take a drink of your Negronis. Take a sippy.
They're like, oh, we haven't
Take a
thought about
sip.
this before.
Oh, you're gonna need. Easy needs a refill.
Nick's got it.
It's a constant state of like managing fear versus like reality. Our health could slide at 60. Our health could slide at 90. Like, it really depends.
I was actually thinking about this. Either one of you can answer this, but I know like my kids ask me things after they've been to see my parents. But babe, is there anything that they've asked you about, like anything that surprised you about how it's impacted our kids seeing our aging parents, or anything that they've said that surprised you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit surprised about how much they talk about death and old age and am I gonna die? When am I gonna die? What are you gonna die? I don't want you to die. Like, Dolly hates dying. She doesn't want to die. She hates dying. And it's like she like talks about death all the time, and she talks about, well, is Grandpa gonna get better? Is Baba gonna get younger? Like, when is Baba gonna get younger? Like, are you gonna become a baby again, Dada? Like, it's like all these questions about aging and life and how does it work, and how do you tell your 3-year-old, like, when they ask you, am I gonna die? I don't have any good answers to these questions. Like,
How do you answer that? I know how we answer it, but how do you answer it?
I mean, I'm like, everybody dies, and you don't have to worry about it right now. You're young, and you just need to enjoy it. And I lie. I'm like, no, you're never gonna die. But I just try to see, like, that's life. Everybody dies, and it's nothing you need to worry about right now. You're young, and you're gonna live a long time, and don't worry about it. But it's like questions I was like, oh man, I did not think they were gonna, at 3 3 years old going to start asking these questions, but maybe it's just the fact that they're around some of this health stuff and aging stuff, and that they are curious about it now earlier than I would have thought they would be. I don't know what the good answers are.
Well, and you don't have to. Like, also, it's just a little bit of exposure. Like Florence, we dealt with this with Florence, and again, it's not the same, but we had to have both of our dogs put down when Florence was maybe just less than 2.5 years old, and it was very difficult for her. But then we had a good friend of ours who they have a daughter who's 4 or 5 years old in Florence, and that girl's grandma died, and so I think I should take Florence to the funeral. And it was just it was a really good experience overall for her, just to be exposed, because she knows that everyone dies, and it was a very neat experience to see, because it was so very sweet how she just kind of sat there and she brought some crayons and she palled around with her friend and was just kind of there for her, and it was just very neat. And then with the little handout that had her photo on it, different, the kind of the summary of her life, and she took that home back with us. And I think on the way home she was like, "She's just the most beautiful grandma ever." Mm-hmm. Which was very sweet. It was very touching, but it was good for her to go and be a part of that, because again, it puts a reality point that that person did die, and this is what you do for them. This is how you show up for friends. This is how you show up for family. This is how the grief process works as a collective. But
I'll go back to when you talked about our dogs. I remember everyone around me being like, "She's 2.5. She's not going to remember this. She'll maybe be sad for a day, and then she's going to move on." That was kind of what I was prepared for. That is not how it went. She felt their loss deeply. I was like, okay, I need to get some books on grief and pet loss and all the things, because she still to this day is very emotional about the fact that they're gone. And it's gotten easier, but it kind of took us by surprise at 2.5 how much she felt of a death or a loss. I am very proud of all of us that in raising our kids, we are including them in being around aging, in being around taking care of our family and the people that we love and our friends, in showing up for our friends if they've had a loss, in being a part of a little funeral. I mean, even our neighbors, last summer, they had a chicken who passed away. And Florence was at their house when this chicken passed away, and they had a little funeral for the chicken. And then afterwards, the mom was like, "Oh my gosh, I never asked you if it was okay for her to be a part of the chicken funeral." And I was like, "Yes, I'm so happy. I'm so happy you included her in the chicken funeral, because that's what I could only hope for. I want her to know the circle of life. I want her to understand grief. It's okay if our kids experience this alongside us, I think frankly it would be more damaging if they were sheltered or protected from all of it. I think that would be really confusing. Kids are smart. They pick up on all of it anyway. And I want them to be a part of my parents' life. And I know we've mentioned this on the podcast before, but we're all exposing them also to active love, right? They're watching us actively love our friends and our parents and our families in ways, and each other. Okay, one thing I want to know. So this morning I was with a good friend of ours on a little play date, and her husband is in a sandwich generation situation with his parents, and his mom has passed away. His dad is a little bit of a difficult parent, and so she was just sharing some things with me, and I was like, "Oh, today we're gonna record with our spouses. We have the guys coming on. I'm so excited." And she was like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're doing this, because I'm just here on the other side trying to support him, and it's tricky, and I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, and I feel like I'm not doing anything, but I'm in it too, but I'm not experiencing it in the same way that he is, right? These are my in-laws, and I love and care about them, but he is going through it in a very different way." From your guys' perspective, what does it feel like to be on the other side when we're talking about our parents? And I know, Easy, you've had health issues with your parents also, where you are then the one on the other side, But can you give us some perspective on what it's like to be the spouse of somebody going through being sandwiched
try to not make it any more difficult than it is. It's a collective situation. It doesn't have to be about you. It's just like without the parent stuff, it's the same thing with like newborns. It's like, well, how can you make things even just a little bit easier around the house or the every day to day? It's like that times 6, because you're still trying to do that and stay one step ahead of it. It's how do you take advantage of the number of minutes in the day and try to stay ahead of it as best you can. It'd be far less easy, I can tell you, if I had to go through it first. Because it's just trying to show up and be supportive and try to make it easier. It's not about you.
What do you think, babe?
Yeah, I mean, showing up for sure. I think planning date nights is huge. I know it's huge for my love, and I'm not always the best at it, but like it means a lot to like coordinate it, plan it, get the babysitter. It's like, you know, some of the things that we don't necessarily always think of, or getting the milk and like anticipating we need milk and getting the milk when you're not necessarily like thinking of some of these things that you guys will always be planning out or thinking of. And it's like just making the effort to do those things, even if that wasn't the perfect thing that was needed at the time. But like if you just are trying to figure out some of these things to make life easier for you and the whole family.
I was going to say, so we haven't totally talked a lot about this, but, you know, I obviously have been going through a lot of this, and then we switched gears like a couple of weeks ago because Easy's dad has been in the hospital, and it was getting to be a pretty serious situation. And so all of a sudden our roles reversed completely. And it was like, then he was in the hot seat and I was the partner. And I have to say, like, I know it's been very clear how much I love this man, but all I could think about was like, what would he be doing right now? What are the things that he has done? And I was like, he does such a good job of not making it about him, which I think it's really important. I love, Nick, how much you said that. And I think it's really important for people to hear that, because it's really easy to make things about you. Like, we all do it, you know? And I think that sometimes spouses do it without even realizing they're doing it. They can make something about them that's not about them. We kind of had this decision to make as a family. Easy was going to go up and see his dad. All the siblings were going, and it seemed kind of like a dire situation. And I was like, well, what would Easy do in this situation? And he would make it like the collective, just like you said, Nick. And I was like, no, we're all going. And I asked him if that was okay, but I was like, it's my job now to say, no, we're doing this together. There's nothing else that matters. We're all going to get in the car and we're all going to go together because we're going for you. And we're a unit, and this is what we do together, and this is how we're going to show up for you. And even no matter what happens, no matter how this all unfolds, we're going to be by your side. And Easy didn't necessarily want to ask for that, but I knew that, like, if the situation was reversed, that's what he would say. And like, I've learned a lot being his partner and how he has taken on, like, doing a lot of things that unburden me. I can see how your friend was feeling that pressure, because you do feel like, oh, what should I be doing right now? What could I be doing? But I've learned from my partner, like, okay, if I can take care of the kids and he doesn't have to think about the kids, that is huge. Like, when I know that he's got the kids and I don't have to think about it, I can just go full force thinking about my parents. That's what I was thinking. And I need to not complain about it. I need to take the kids and I need to not complain about it, which I, like, don't think I did as well as he does. I've learned a lot from my partner about that.
For sure. I would second that. When you guys just, like, show up without question, or you just pick up the kids, I will figure it out. Just go, go do what you need to do. I hope someday I can return that favor, because there's nothing that makes us feel more like loved and secure and taken care of in that moment, when it feels like it's pure chaos. And it also might feel like you don't know what else to do. And that seems like the obvious thing, but it's doing so much. It's doing so much. And I think that there might be a lot of people out there. I don't know. I just don't think that is always the normal response for people's partner, and I think that it's incredible that that's our experience, because that's where I'm always like, oh, damn it, I'm so grateful, because I know that is a gift.
I was going to ask you a question. What did you think was sexy before, and what do you think is sexy now?
Okay. I have always been, like, wildly attracted to Nick. Okay, first of all, I remember, like, when we got married, And like there was something about like Nick wearing his wedding ring that I was like, oh, you are exponentially suddenly hotter, if that was even possible, because now like you're my husband and like we're married and this is so great.
Wearing that ring, baby.
I know, it just like it did something. It was
hot.
so awesome. And now it's more like I'm so in awe of like what a great parent he is, especially in raising two girls, that I'm just like, wow, like you are a good man and you are a good person and influence in these lives. And like that makes him more attractive. And like whenever he just like handles something.
Yes. Hot.
So hot.
Hot.
And just like no questions asked. I got you. It is, yeah.
Hot.
Mm-hmm. It's no longer the superficial stuff. It's like we're in so deep to life and we are in the thick of it so much that it is just like I'm in awe of him as a person and who he continues to be. Sexy, for sure. And also to like everyone in my life, not just our family and not just our kids. Like he is a great friend to my friends. He is, you know, it's like that shit that I'm like, wow.
That's hot. That's hot.
Okay, what about you? Same question.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been also wildly attracted to my husband because he's really cute. He's tall and he's got a great beard and he's just like got a great smile. He's just so cute. And his cool, calm, and collectedness has always been hot. But when he put together a dresser for my mom and delivered it in a snowstorm, and I was like, you have never been more attractive. This is I don't know how you could get any hotter. I don't know. And tonight is going to be good for you. And when he goes to Costco, when we have nothing to eat, and he didn't even tell me he was going, he didn't even tell me. And I look in the fridge and I'm like, is that milk? Is that grapes? Is that half and half? He makes me my coffee in the morning.
Okay, that
Hot.
alone
Hot.
is such a pro move.
That was gonna be one of my tips of making coffee.
Just solid move.
What was the last thing? Oh, the way he handles my dad. The way, the infinite patience that Easy has for my dad. And the other thing is, like, I would say, like, this is somewhere between sexy and just completely in love. But I would say the way he says hello to my mother, especially, like, where she's at right now and, like, what's happening with her, he treats her with so much dignity. And it's just like, it's very subtle, but it is not lost on me.
I think
That's
when we all
amazing.
met and got married, we could have never predicted where we are exactly right now, right? And so when you guys show up for everyone in ways that we're just taken back by, it's like we're just so lucky because everything feels so whole, even when it feels so chaotic. And it's like this foundation that we know is so firm, and we know that no matter what happens, it's going to be okay because you are there. You're both there for us, and you're there for our people, and you're there for our children. And while it feels like we're holding everything together and it feels like a house of cards that's very fragile and anything can break at any time, I would also argue that you guys are our foundation that is stable, and we can also not do all that we do if it wasn't for you and your stability that you give us.
I also think that we can't discount the importance of, like, how we all talk to each other. And I know we are not perfect. We don't have perfect marriages. We're not perfect people. But I do think there's a lot of times I don't want to talk about what's going on with my parents because I get overwhelmed with the finances. I get overwhelmed with the amount of shit that I need to do. I get overwhelmed with, like, how my parents have changed, and I have to manage, you know, their lives, and I can shut down. But I feel like at the end of the day, there's always room to download with my husband, and we have to figure out the times that we can really talk to each other. A lot of times it's like when we finally put the kids together and we're starting to watch TV, or sometimes it's like in the morning. We always find time to download with each other at least once a day. I don't know. I know that there are people that are listening that are probably like they're struggling because it's hard, you know, like we're praising our husbands, but also it's like the constant conversation and talking about the things that make you scared and the things that make you stressed. And like opening up about those things, I think, has also made us closer. I just think that's really important to mention.
You said it earlier too. You're like, a lot of times in situations like this, people can grow together or they can grow apart.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just life, right? I think that's any relationship in any life. As you go on, you can choose to grow together or grow apart.
I'll say it for everybody, okay? You keep having sex.
Keep going on dates.
You keep going on dates, and you keep the romance going, okay? Make out, do whatever you got to do. Okay.
Nick is really good about also being like, hey, let's get a bottle of wine tonight, or let's go have a cocktail, or like, let's just step away, even if it's in a small way, right? He's good about kind of calling me out when I need to step away for 5 minutes.
All right, let's close it up.
Well, with that, thank you, loves of our life, for coming on the podcast and sharing your perspective and your thoughts. I think a lot of people are going to love listening.
Yeah. We'll cut out a lot of the compliments because I know that might make people
Vomit a little bit.
vom a little. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
let's get out of here.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and hopefully you can take away some helpful info and tips. All links and resources can be found in our show notes.
Please share this episode with anyone you think this might help. And if you have a topic that you'd like to talk more with us about in the sandwich generation world, please slide into our DMs on Instagram. Our handle is @thesandwichgenerationpod. We hope you'll be back for more combos with us soon. And remember, no matter whose diaper you're changing, you're never alone.
That was great. That was really good. All right.